The Civil War ran from 1861 to 1865 and resulted in over 1 million casualties, including over 200,000 soldiers killed in action, more than 400,000 soldiers killed by diseases and other causes, tens of thousands of civilian deaths, and hundreds of thousands of wounded, more than all other American wars combined. It also devastated the South's economic and physical infrastructure. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution were adopted between 1865 and 1870. The 13th Amendment, adopted in 1865, states that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Although the 13th Amendment formally ended slavery, the crime exception allowed Southern states to exploit black codes, laws designed to restrict the ability of black people to own property, travel, and engage in other ordinary activities. Black people were often arrested as vagrants under these laws and assigned to work camps that were effectively another form of slavery. Congress sought to curtail these practices in the South by passing the Civil Rights Act of 1866. That statute provided that all persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians not taxed, are hereby declared to be citizens of the United States, and such citizens of every race and color, without regard to any previous condition of slavery or involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall have the same right in every state and territory in the United States to make and enforce contracts, to sue, be parties, and give evidence, to inherit, purchase, lease, sell, hold, and convey real and personal property, and to full and equal benefit of all laws and proceedings for the security of person and property, as is enjoyed by white citizens, and shall be subject to like punishment, pains, and penalties, and to none other, any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom to the contrary notwithstanding. The statute also made it a federal crime to subject a black person to a criminal punishment different than is prescribed for the punishment of white persons, and made it unlawful to interfere with civil rights enforcement. In other words, the Civil Rights Act of 1866 purported to overrule the Dred Scott decision and to invalidate the black codes. President Andrew Johnson vetoed that statute based on constitutional objections, but Congress passed the statute over Johnson's veto. The 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, was meant to shore up the constitutional foundations of the principles contained in the 1866 Civil Rights Act and to deal with other issues left over from the war. Section 1 of the 14th Amendment contains 4 operative clauses: the Citizenship Clause, the Privileges and Immunities Clause, the Due Process Clause, and the Equal Protection Clause. Section 2 of the 14th Amendment effectively eliminated the 3/5 clause in Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, and penalized but did not prohibit the disenfranchisement of freed slaves. Section 3 restricted the ability of former Confederate supporters to hold certain federal offices. Section 4 repudiated any obligation to pay Confederate war debts or to pay the cost of emancipated slaves. Section 5 gave Congress the power to enforce the amendment through legislation. The penalty in Section 2 of the 14th Amendment for disenfranchising black citizens was a proportionate reduction in congressional representation for the affected state. In fact, in many northern states as well as in the South, fear and prejudice against black people meant this was a price the states were willing to pay. The 15th Amendment, which states that the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude, was passed by a lame duck Republican Congress in 1869. Although many northern states remained prejudiced against enfranchising blacks, the amendment was supported by newly elected Republican President Ulysses S. Grant, and in general, Republicans, then the party of Lincoln, believed that newly enfranchised blacks would support Republican candidates. With the southern states newly readmitted to the Union, the Democrats had gained a total of 22 congressional seats in the 1868 elections, and Republicans were concerned that their support would continue to erode without gaining newly enfranchised black voters. After a bitter fight, resulting in part from opposition by women suffragists who argued in vain that the franchise should also be extended to women, the amendment was finally ratified in 1870. Even so, the amendment would be construed narrowly by the courts, and states would continue to find other means of disenfranchisement, such as literacy tests and poll taxes.